And I would say that his performance in particular was probably the high point for me of the whole thing. Whatever he's saying, I believe it. That's the way he does it. And, Hey, everybody, peeps, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. I've been on tenterhooks, ending in dirty looks, listening to the music, thinking about this and that. She said that's that. I don't want the chitter chat. Turn it down a little bit or turn it down flat. More on that later. But first, we have a tune to listen to, Andy. What have you got in your box of delights?
We are going back to a certain well, one that is for me a lot like you and
Orwell.
Yeah, Orwell. We're gonna be discussing exactly. No, a lot like how you have continued to go back to the REM well, to all degrees, but varying degrees of success with me. I'm going to go back to a band that I've given you a few times on this channel and at least once or twice on Into the Music. And that is one of my favorite bands, a band called Manchester Orchestra. And this is the live official video for a song off their latest project, their most recent project. And the song is called The Way. So buckle up.
To San Jose.
yes, exactly. They really missed an opportunity there, John. But yeah, give it a listen and let me know what you think, buddy.
Will do. This is shot beautifully. I just want to take it back to the start, that overall shot of where they're playing. Sorry. Look at that. That's not Red Rocks, is it? Maybe it is.
Drowning out those decibels, screaming in your head. Do you want to find the antidote? Driving with that Holy Ghost, the holy death, the holy smoke. Or does it start again? Well, I've been drinking from a periscope, just trying to watch my obstacles. You see how fully I've been broke. Yeah, let me start again. Let me start again.
Okay. When we first started singing, I was like, his voice is different, but then he sort of went into a bit more oomph than it did sound more like him. I would say that this sort of music isn't really my bag. However, I think just watching this, you get kind of swept away because I know from previous stuff, he's a really heartfelt performer, and you kind of feel that straight away, and it's shot so well. It just looks amazing. So you find yourself swept up in it anyway. So I'm enjoying this so far.
I see you losing the line. The altar is inaudibles, dancing pathological like capillary thread. And when you run out of time, well, soul becomes synodical. The weight is now phenomenal and deafening again. I was feeling like an anecdote, hovering to the hospital, just helping find holy smoke. Or does it start again? Well, I've been lost beyond the telescope. I mean, goddamn diabolical. God forgive the prodigal and let me start again.
Like the drums, it's almost like a heartbeat.
Now, it flows the way now. It flows my way, the way now. I think I finally found that antidote. Well, I've been lying to Holy Ghost, holy best to fully.
I really like that. A lot of live footage of bands, they forget to include the most important people, which is the audience, because that's the whole reason why they're doing it. And I love to see, big shots of the whole audience and then close-ups of people reacting and seeing how it touches them. That's really cool.
Let me start again. Well, I've been lost beyond that horoscope. Love is never optional. It's holy death and holy smoke. Well, let me start again.
I have to say, I didn't really catch hardly any of the lyrics at all. However, I really like his voice and I like his delivery, and it doesn't really matter that I'm not understanding the words because the way he performs, I believe him, whatever he's saying. I'm guessing with the title, like the way, it's about finding his way and to do with his faith, like a lot of his songs are. He is a charismatic performer. I think the overall feel of it for me was a bit stadium rockish. It didn't have that directness of like what was the first one I listened to from Andy Pride that had a, you know, it was more of a gut punch sort of thing. But this felt a bit sort of smooth around the edges of it. But you know, bands develop and they change their sounds, and hopefully they get successful, and you know, they move on and do other stuff and get paid, which is the important thing. So yeah, this is decent. I enjoyed it. I really like the performance a lot. So I'd say the song itself wasn't my favourite of the ones I've listened to so far, but I really enjoyed watching it. Yeah. Okay, let's get the story behind this and go back and chat it up with Andy.
You found your way back. So
Yeah, I returned from the well, grabbed a ride on that little bucket on a rope, and up I came.
excellent, excellent. Yeah, Lassie was telling the townsfolk that's where John had ended up. So,
and it's always better that Lassie does it rather than Skippy. I don't know if you're aware of his work, but he was basically incomprehensible, and no one ever got saved.
What the fuck you saying?
But anyway, so yes, I see why you picked this particular video. I had to stop and rewind the start just because of the shot of the setting. Instantly, Red Rocks came to mind, and then I would think, oh, it's not. Oh, maybe it is. Maybe it is. I wasn't sure because I don't think I've ever seen an aerial shot of Red Rocks. So it looked quite odd, but it looked amazing. You know, it was almost like the people were lava coming out of the top of the volcano. You know, it was just incredible. Awesome setting.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
Beautiful.
And this video is shot so beautifully. I mean, there's proper artistry in the cinematography. An old teacher said to me at art college many years ago, black and white if you value the light. And he was so right. So just about the video before I get into the song, you know, there's a bit of dry ice at the start. These are all sort of almost visual cliches, using the light show to silhouette, you know, the players on the stage, as it were, the staging. There's camera movement, which mimics the sort of dynamism of the band members. And it matches their motion. And it actually then becomes more simplistically shot as it goes into the song. So you're setting the tone and the scene, and then you're letting the music and the performance tell the story. So all of that was really well done, and whoever did it deserves a biscuit with their cup of tea. They really do.
The ultimate prize.
Yeah. I have to also mention, I did so later on because it happens later on, but also the inclusion of the audience, and not just what you tend to get is a big sweeping shot of the baying mob.
These were intimate shots.
Seeing people. Yeah, it was connecting emotionally, and it worked really well. And I think a lot of the times of live shows, they forget to do that and show, because the audience really in a live show is the most important element. And if you get that connection, you should show it, and really worked well as well. So yeah, onto the song itself. So I will say, first off, this isn't my favorite song of theirs. That being said, I still enjoyed this a lot. It felt to me, though, there was a slightly different sound to it. It felt like it had the edges sanded off it, and I'll explain that a bit later. But it's obviously a slower song, but it did seem musically different. I know you said that it's one of their later works, most recent works. That makes sense to me. You've already mentioned his name, but I was quite proud of my notes that I remembered Andy Hull. Starts singing. He sings quite softly, and his voice is different right for the first, few lines. I'm thinking, what the hell's this? And then he sort of starts singing properly, and it's the voice that I am familiar-ish with. And the keys in the background, sounding very much like a grand piano almost, give it that certain sound, which again, it's hard to put into words, but it kind of smooths it over. It gives it a more mature sound to the stuff we've heard before. So it's different. I don't say it's better or worse, but it's different at this point. And there's really open guitars as well, which are really nice. And again, it's sweeping. It's a bit more, I was going to say more majestic, but there is some of the other words was as well, but it seems a bit more mature as well. And there's a really nice bass drum that's kicking in a bit, and it's that heartbeat, which again sort of emphasizes, and it's very clever, and it kicks through emotional, content. Now, I can barely hear a word he's singing in this, and it's to do with his delivery. Having said that, I still really like his delivery, and I would say that his performance in particular was probably the high point for me of the whole thing. Whatever he's saying, I believe it. That's the way he does it. And, and it's really, so, he could have been saying anything, because I really couldn't tell. I mean, it was really 1 in 20 words I caught, but you get a feel, and it was really, really great performance. There's loads of light and shade in this. And I didn't take a huge amount of notes, like, this bit does this and this does this. So it was an overall impression. But, they bring it down, and that drum beat kicks through again, which is this pulsating bit. And then it's back in with the guitars. Because of the light show, especially when they're viewing it from the back, it did have a kind of feel, and I don't mean this in a detrimental sense, but it was more stadium rock than their earlier stuff. This seems to be almost like a band coming into success that they've worked hard for. Do you know what I mean? It felt more like that. Whereas if I say and there's also light and shade in this as well, with the visuals and with the sound. It wasn't like the directness of Pride when you first gave me that. That felt much more direct, but then they were a young band then, and they were going for it. And this felt more sort of mature. And I liken this to the development of, and it is development of bands like Kings of Leon, Snow Patrol to a certain extent, Killers, although they're always going to go down that route. And I think for me, I probably prefer earlier work. And this is a general with most bands, unfortunately. But it's not to say this wasn't great and I didn't enjoy it. It's just I think that probably Pride still is my favorite one of theirs.
Okay. Pride's one of my all-time favorites from them too, so that's okay.
Yeah. So, that's the way I was feeling about this. And then I let the rest of it swell over me. Now, they up the tempo at the end and the energy, and they're really going for it. And it's great to see. And again, he's one of these ones we spoke about in an earlier episode with Adrian Borland. There is an intensity and a sincerity to his delivery, which makes you connect with him. And so, as I said before, I believe what he's saying, whatever it is. You'll give me the lyrics, but so overall, I'd say his performance in particular was just a real standout. But the whole band sounded great. And whether this song is one of my favorites or not, that doesn't really matter, because the performance was superb. And then when you mix it in with how it was produced and shot, you get something that's quite special. It really is. And almost the whole package elevates it, regardless of the song. But I would guess, by missing all the lyrics, I would have to guess, but I would say from the title, The Way, that he's not talking about, being lost on the way to a party somewhere and asking for directions. I would say this is probably about a struggle with his faith or finding his way in life, etc. And it's something to do with that. But yeah, I really, really enjoy the performance, and I would easily watch this again.
Yeah. He toes a fine line when he's talking about finding his way, and there are allusions or he uses metaphors that are tied into religious-y imagery. It's not to be about the religion. It's just he comes from a background where he's so learned. It's easy for him to make these metaphors and draw correlative aspects to his state with the tales of maybe the Bible or something, like, because that's what he knows. It's not preachy to me. It's not even that's what it's about necessarily.
No, I didn't get that either. Not that I understood it, but do you know what I mean? I didn't get that feel.
It's hard to do that, right? To not come across as like almost evangelical whenever you talk about something so polarizing or important, or whatever word you want to use, as religion. It's probably hard to toe that line, I would think. And yet he does it in such a way that I don't feel like I'm being preached to, or I don't feel like I'm at a church Sunday camp, like sing-along hymnal song. Like, there's none of that. But there is still allusions to his faith in this, and I just think that that's what comes easy to him. But you're right. Yeah. I mean, it is about being lost and needing to find your way out. But it's also just his mental state and how to overcome, and we've talked about that recently in a lot of our songs, and this is just another example of the narrator kind of grappling with getting out from under something, even if that something is himself. And that's kind of
it comes across to me as more humanist, actually.
Yes.
You know, and the context maybe, you know, struggles with, you know, your difficulty in being a marine biologist or within your faith or whatever. That's the context, but it's the, you know, the humanity of the guy and the way he struggles through that comes across more than anything.
I completely agree. So I'll get into the lyrics a little bit more in a bit, but we've already done this band a few times, so like I'll put links to the prior stuff where we discuss them a little bit more, but I'm kind of just going to focus on this EP, this project, and then the song itself, and not get mired down in repeating a lot of the stuff we've already said about these guys. But yeah, this is The Valley of Vision is the name of this 8th extended play by the American indie rock band Manchester Orchestra. It was recorded during the sessions for their previous album, The Million Masks of God, which featured Angel of Death, a song I had you do on this. So This is almost like spillover or songs that were like they were working on and workshopping, and then they ended up just building this. I mean, eight tracks for an EP is pretty damn good. So there was a lot of carryover from that, and they just said, to hell with it, let's do this. And this work was released with an accompanying virtual reality movie that they also created that completely coincides with the 8 tracks. So a very ambitious, artistic, cinematic, as the word that you used earlier just to describe this video, endeavor by them. And it was released digitally March 10th of this year, 2023. Editors at AllMusic rated the EP a 4 out of 5 stars, with critic Matt Collar writing that this release has a cathartic, deeply ruminative vibe that takes listeners on a journey from solitary confessions made in a dark room to a wailing wall of bright pop catharsis. It looks like that the critics can also use religious imagery in their synopsis with the Wailing Wall reference and so forth. But yes, a quote from the EP's review from albumoftheyear.org said, Manchester Orchestra have been increasingly exploring the cinematic through their sound across their past few releases. A Black Mile to the Surface is not only musical perfection, but a loose concept album centered around a small town in South Dakota. Whilst The Million Masks of God saw the band grappling with a traumatic period of time in their personal lives and who they have become following it, as such, it was unsurprising to hear that they would be producing a movie and EP that accompany one another in the form of The Valley of Vision. This felt like the ultimate defining creative statement for the band's recent trajectory and an important release from the once scrappy emo outfit, now 20 years deep in their career. Of the song The Way, the same article states, The Way features soft drum machine beats that play against gently sweeping pianos and strings to give the whole affair a slightly lo-fi dream pop feel, whilst lyrically we are treated to potential allusions to the band's last album with mentions of drugs and driving with divine beings akin to the track Angel of Death. Tony Hicks of Riff Magazine writes, The Valley of Vision is aptly named. Manchester Orchestra is exploring emotional gratitude in an up and down tumble of emotions that are layers to climb and fall from and climb again until you get there. Sputnik wrote, it's incorrect to say that Manchester Orchestra got softer, which is kind of like what you were talking about with like Pride was so visceral and guttural and chunky, and this is more expansive and plays with space and time. So yeah, they say it's incorrect to say that. Perhaps it's packed up their electric guitars and started sitting around, as if they packed up their electric guitars and started sitting around campfires singing folk ditties after 2009. More accurate to say, they converted their sound into widescreen, a 4K transfer that broadened their horizons beyond what Andy Hall's widening vocal range and some chugging guitars could encompass. Hall's tales of drifters, killers, and broken homes, dotted here and there with fragments of his real life and family, have remained the focus even as the band settled on a horizon hazed, dreamy version of indie rock that isn't afraid to bust out the riffs every now and again. It's hard to say where Manchester Orchestra will go next following The Valley of the Vision. With 3 back-to-back acclaimed releases that have cemented the group in modern alternative legends, as well as extensive back catalog that is adored by indie and emo fans alike, it feels certain that whatever comes next for the band will be just as magical as what came before. However, for the time being, Manchester Orchestra should be celebrated for delivering what might be considered by many as the defining creative moment of the band's recent career. Even without the movie it accompanies, The Valley of Vision is a stark and breathtaking piece of art that feels like the culmination of immense hard work and passion. And I think like his viability, his believability, that's where you see the passion come through in that, and in his performance, as you stated when you watch this. So I absolutely agree with your assessment and what these critics had to say about the EP as well. The lyrics, I think I'm losing my mind. Fear became the fentanyl, hungry like the animal I've been sleeping in. I see you're losing your light, cut you into decimals, drowning out the decibels, screaming in your head. Do you want to find the antidote? Driving with the Holy Ghost, holy death, the holy smoke. And does it start again? I've been drinking from a periscope, I love that line. I've been drinking from a periscope, trying to watch my obstacles, see how fully I've been broke, and let me start again. Which I could never hit that falsetto. Let me start again. I think I'm losing the line. The altar is inaudible, dense and pathological, capillary thread. When you run out of time, the soul becomes synodical. The weight is now phenomenal and deafening again. Are you feeling like an anecdote, hovering to the hospital, huffing fire and holy smoke? Does it start again? I've been lost beyond the telescope, goddamn diabolical. God forgive the prodigal, and let me start again. Let me start again. Now I've lost my way. Now I've lost my way. Now I think I finally found the antidote, have lost. I've been lying to the Holy Ghost. My way. Holy beds that fully broke. The way. Let me start again. Now I've been sinking in the horoscope. Have lost. Love is never optional. My way. Holy death and holy smoke. The way. Let me start again. Oh, those are the lyrics. Yeah, he's the line fear became the fentanyl is so interesting to me, how fear can be like a drug, something that overcomes you and overtakes you and commands your life and your thoughts, and you get lost in your head and you get lost in life because you're lost in your head and you need a way out. And this is an excellent way, where by the end is, he's saying, I think I finally found the antidote. So there's hope to be had by the time you get to the end of the song. It's all not dire and doom and gloom, but from getting to point A to that point B is and he puts it all out there in lyrical form, in very beautiful lyrical form, in my opinion. So yeah, this is a really great song. Thanks. I thought, part of me thought, John's going to appreciate the shit out of the artistry of all this, the visuals, even the music. But I know that this is less organic sounding than some of the earlier stuff, because it's just so it's like it comes right out of the body. This, like some of the stuff you heard in Pride and their earlier stuff, this is cleaned and polished, like you said, sanded edges and so forth. But at least it's not done in some bullshit, effects of plastic. You've seen it 1,000 times ways. This is interesting to me, and I'm glad you gave it the time and that you liked it. So it means a lot to me that you looked at this one, man. So appreciate you as always. Such a good sport. And everyone out there in the listening audience, let us know what you thought of this particular tune, "The Way" by Manchester Orchestra. And if it made you think of any other stuff, songs, artists that you've listened to in the past. I know we've got a really wide group here that comes and checks us out. We've got everything from like 18 to 25-year-olds to folks that are, my age, John's age, and beyond. And it's awesome because we get all these different perspectives and opinions on stuff. And I'd love to continue to cultivate that, because I think it's really cool to have a community so diverse in age come together and bounce off these songs that at whatever point in our lives resonated with us. So thank you so much. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, and hopefully John and I will see all y'all and some more on the next episode of the Audiophiles. See you guys.